Good morning guys, welcome to Flory Models Daily Show. Here we are on Monday the 21st of November 2016. It's an awful day out there today. It's cold, it's wet, it's windy. We had a big storm over the weekend. Not nice at all. Anyway, perfect time to get on some modelling. So, a little bit late starting today. To be honest, I had a couple of personal matters with the solicitor to take care of this morning. So that's all done and now we can push on. Good news is, if you were watching the live show on Saturday, you would have known that I then suddenly twigged that I'm not here at the weekend. Panic over, I am now. We've rearranged, rejuggled everything. So the Turkish shootout will continue as originally planned, okay? So what I intend to do is, we'll probably start, I haven't agreed a full start time yet because I think I surprised the lads. Obviously Hans and Steve, when I said actually I'm not here, I think they panicked a bit when I thought I was going to leave it in their capable hands, but it's alright, we're back now. So we need to sort out a start date time, which we will go with you, and obviously we will start live on air, okay? Now, I spoke to Hans and Hans agrees with me and all the rest of it. We're not going to be, you know, to the point where you get your mobile phone out with a start time and all like that. It doesn't really matter. It's only a bit of fun. There's no prizes, no nothing. It's just we want you all to join in with us. And obviously if you guys in sort of, you know, in America, with Thanksgiving, you're going to be up for a couple of days. We've got a weekend as well for the UK guys and all the rest of it. So we're just going to stream it as much as we possibly can. And perhaps Steve, he might have things to do. He might be away for a couple of hours, but then me and Hans will be on, or I'll be on, and everything else like that. Okay, so in some ways, it's just supposed to be a very light-hearted look. Obviously, we're going to try and build something right the way through, and I must admit, now I've got a bit more time, I'm thinking about doing something of a bigger project, something I can do in 4 days and try and push through quite quickly, but then I don't want to make it sort of, you know, too good that I wouldn't want to film it as normal and stuff like that, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I am going to be here, so it will be literally, I'll start it, we'll all be live, and I'll say, right, okay, everyone can start now, open up the boxes, we'll make our way through. So the whole point to this is obviously you guys can talk to us, you can chat to us, all the bits and pieces like that, and then we'll probably do it in sort of 4-hour blocks. I don't want to sit here continuously all day because obviously I've got a life, you know, we'll need food and water and toilets and things like that, and various things. But what I intend to do is obviously do like 4-hour blocks, so that's 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon, 4 hours in the evening, and work it through from Thursday to Sunday night. Okay, then obviously Sunday night round about 11 o'clock, something else like that in the UK, we'll close it and we can all look at our great work. And then what we'll do, hopefully you guys will post all your photos up, and then on Monday I'll do a video montage for it, and everyone can see everyone's great work that we've managed to produce in those 4 days. So it is going to be very light-hearted. There's no real rules, just build it, enjoy it, whatever you want to do, something that you can do between Thursday and Sunday, 4 days. Okay, so if you guys perhaps you haven't got much time, just do something simple, you know, Bandai kit, you know, do one of those in 2 hours and you're good to go. But if you want to do something a little bit more complicated, perhaps you have got 4 days off if you're in, you know, America, things like that, then feel free to join us and all the rest of it. But it is just a bit of fun and everything else like that. So again, it'll be one of those things where, you know, what's going to do the Bell X1, I might do something else, I might do 2, I don't know, I might do something really shocking, I don't know yet. It's one of those things I'm thinking, oh, I could do this, this and this, and you know what it's like. Anyway, so plan for this week until Thursday is to push on really, really heavily. So first up is this guy. I want to get him completely together, technically in primer by Thursday. That's my goal for that one. If I can get that done, that'd be really nice, because then next week we can go about finishing him off. I'll just grab a leg. Obviously the Gundam, he's coming together really, really fast now, and I've still got quite a bit to do, but I reckon if I push through with him quite heavily between now and Thursday as well, I should have him done. I don't know about weathered, but he'll definitely be together and all the rest of it. Not sure about the weathering, I'm going to tackle that now, but we'll see that when we actually get to it, when we're in that position. Alright, so that is the thing to it. So this morning, to be honest, I've gone through some of the payment issue problems that we've had now, members who have left us, some that have joined us, sorted them out over this morning as well. So I need to finish that off for another hour. So I'm thinking by midday I should be in a good position to start and get on, probably get a couple of hours done here. Then I've got to do obviously your orders from the weekend, I'll get those done, and I might even do a little bit tonight, just so we're all in a nice position. But anyway, thumbs up, we are back on for a 4-day special build for you guys live, and we're going to be streaming live all the way through and everything else like that. Apologies for Saturday, the camera locked. What it was is, you know, we used the big camera, it locked, and I've never used a webcam because we use the big cams. So when I tried to switch over to the webcam, the webcam wasn't installed onto the system, and it didn't know it, didn't recognize it, and all the rest of it. So that put us in a real bit of a pickle, so that's why we had to do a restart. Remember, if we're ever streaming and we just disappear, stick with it and just come back and then just refresh, and then just hit the little link at the bottom of the screen from the old one. It'll say it's when we're live, just hit that and you'll be back to where we are and all the rest of it. I'll never leave you hanging, if you know what I mean. I'll try and always let you know what we're doing and what we're up to, or we just reset it, and it's quite a good system. I can reset it and get this thing entirely booted up in under 3 minutes. So we might have literally a little technical difficulties or a commercial break, but we will always come back. But anyway, I think most of you did, and everything else like that. Thank you for all the comments about YouTube. Again, it's just, I want to give a little bit back, okay? And apart from a small cock up with a complete idiot who's been banned and blocked and everything else like that now for using vile language on our YouTube comments thing, thank you to the gentleman who called him out on it and everything else like that. When I blocked him and deleted him, it took your post with it as well, but you did quite a nice reply explaining what idiot he was and everything else like that. But as I said, I will not tolerate idiots and all the rest of it. If you do anything like that, you'll just be banned and blocked, not only from there but from the main site and everything. You'll never see anything we do again. So if you're an idiot, be warned, we will take action against you. And because he used that type of wording and everything else, I did report him to YouTube for a strike as well. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. So as you said, I'm pretty hot on it because quite frankly it's just not tolerated. There we go. Right, so I'm going to finish off sorting out your subscriptions and your bits and pieces and everything else like that. We're going to get that done, sorted out. I'm going to have a bit of a clear out in here because, to be honest, I need a bit of space and it's getting a bit heavy on me. To be honest, I'm going to put the heating on because it's starting to get cold and it's horrible in here as well. So we'll get the heating all switched on and then we can get on with some work. And welcome back. So this afternoon, to be honest, I haven't spent much time, just about an hour on the actual Gundam. So we've got his body, lower body put together, legs on, everything else. I have to say, he weighs an absolute ton. That's a heavy bit of plastic, that is. It is what it is. It's Bandai. It's incredible engineering. I love the way you sort of nudge it together and it just clicks, and it's such a satisfying click and all the rest of it. And a way that, you know, a lot of, if not all of, the join pins, so everything that's got a sprue gate on it that, you know, you'd think you'd have to go in and clean up and all the rest of it, actually is hidden, which is phenomenal engineering. And I must admit, after working with this one, I'm eager to get my hands on the new Meng snap tight kits. Now, this is going to run. I can imagine it turning into very much a hot topic about, is technically building a kit without glue and cement modelling? Technically, of course it is modelling, we all know that, but does it take away from the hobby, having that thing where it goes together so well and the engineering is such a good quality that you don't need any problems with fit issues and you don't have any problem with filler and glue, that it doesn't even require it, so it literally goes together? Does that make it almost like building Lego then, and it takes away modelling skills and everything else like that? Personally, I don't think it does. I think it sort of adds to it because it's a great way for people who, let's just say, don't have the best skills in the world, or they're new to the hobby, or they're coming back into it. They can get right up there really, really quickly because, like everything, you can go to whatever level you want to go to. Because with this one, to be honest, we've been building it and it's been going extremely well with no problems at all. This is the first time I've ever worked on one of these. If I was to do it again, yes, I would probably do it slightly different. Yes, I might do more sub-assemblies and paint and weather separately instead of doing it like a whole as we're doing this one and all things like that. And I might take a little bit more care with some of the seams and joints and stuff like that because I now know of better ways of doing it and things like that. But I think right off of the bat, this is a great way of getting people into the hobby and getting them up there really, really quickly. And as I said, you know, in Japan and definitely around the Far East, and it's starting to get a real sort of, you know, following. There seems to be a big push now to this type of modelling and all the rest of it. You can see why, because it goes together so well. So anybody can get there with literally, I'm not being funny, I've built this entire thing with these two tools. That's it. I've got a pair of little cutters and I've got a knife, and that's all I've used. I haven't used a file, a sanding sponge, or anything whatsoever to build this, which is great from a modelling point of view because, as I said, you don't need the space, the expense, the tools, everything. You can do a handful of tools and you can build one of these with no problem at all. But there again, you then can take it on to that next level where if you wanted to, you could super detail. I'm sure you could add your own stuff onto this. I'm sure there's photo etch and various bits and pieces out there to actually take them onto the next level and progress and everything else like that. And then I think everything will start to spider off. Once you get a guy who's been building one of these for sort of 5-6 years, let's just do the maths here. Say he starts in it when he's about 10, he gets to 20, he might start thinking, I quite fancy having a go at something else. He's used to working in this environment. So to make the change and the step over to mainstream modelling perhaps, I think it'll be a lot easier. So that's why I do love these kits. I think they're fantastic, especially if you're new to the hobby, coming back into it, something else like that. It's a great confidence booster because it takes away all those nightmare scenarios you may have had before and everything else like that. So really am enjoying these. And as I say, all the Bandai stuff seems to just be a dream fit and it goes together. But as I said, really looking forward to Meng, because I did say, and I've been saying it now for the last year, wouldn't it be interesting if one of these manufacturers like Bandai actually come out and did a Spitfire or a Mustang, and lo and behold, I'm sure, perhaps I'm psychic or something, but Meng have done it, okay? And I saw it at Telford, didn't properly get to grips with it. I'd like to have actually physically got hold of the thing and had a look, but I've seen the video of it, the bits and pieces. It does look very nice, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So generally, this is it, we've got there. So the next part of this is up on the site now, part 3. Basically, it talks about putting all the legs together, the last bit with the arms, the shoulder packs, things like that. That all goes in, so that's already in there, and really pushes on with it. I'm just about to start now on the rest of it, which is, to be honest, all the boosters and everything else like that, and the weaponry and all the bits and pieces. The build of him is almost done. So that's actually great. It's pushing through, coming through really, really nicely. And I think a couple of days on this, I'll have it done. The other thing I love about this kit, I just have to say, is that down here, I've got the sprues, because the sprues are so cleverly laid out as well. Because mainstream kit, you might be having a pile of sprues, especially if you're doing some of the bigger models which have, I don't know, 20 sprues, something else like that, okay? You've got that thing, haven't you, where you're rummaging through them, and I put the little tabs on so you can see what they are easier, and you're going through and you're having to find them, but normally you've still got the same amount of sprues on the table. Well, now the upper torso's done, you work through the sprue in those areas, so it's not like you've got bits of sprue absolutely everywhere. So down here we finished now the legs and everything else, so I've actually got multiple sprues which are finished now, because that is that area. It's not like you've got bits left over, okay, for different things, or just one little bit left here for, you know, it's one of the last bits on. The sprues are very cleverly laid out to do each bit in section. So to be honest, we've only got a couple more on here. I'm sure in that will go in a minute. Then we've got the rockets and everything else, and we haven't even touched any of these sprues over here. We painted this one. This is the shield and some of the weaponry. We've got another one down there for weaponry, and these are the little veins all around the back and everything else like that, you know, so that it keeps it all separate. So again, it makes things easier to build because it's not absolutely everywhere. Anyway, a couple of questions as always. So first one we got up from last week. John says, hi Phil, love the videos and the site and everything. Followed many of your builds and in awe and learned something every time. Just a quick question. I've noticed from time to time you have a paint chart. Where is it? Here it is. That is your definitive paint conversion chart you use. I used to browse the model paint database online, but it seems to have disappeared into the ether somewhere. Other online conversion charts are so complicated and long-winded. Living in Central Europe, it can be quite a challenge to find the right colour and shade, etc. I tend to use Tamiya and gun supplies. Model shops seem reluctant to post cross borders. Thanks for all you do in inspiring modelers. Best wishes, John. Right, this technically is becoming out of date. I know a lot of you say, can you have it? And to be honest, Sid scanned it for me about a year ago, and we had it up on the site and all the rest of it. Some of it is up there. It's now becoming outdated purely because of different things that are coming out there. This I've had now for the last 20 years, and it has got the mad scribblings of a person on the backs of it and everything else. And in here I will go along and I'll put down things. I'm just trying to find one of these mad scribbly type pages I do. Always the way, can't find one when you need one. But what I'll do is, if I've got a colour like down in here and everything else that I'm not too sure about, and I'll make up a little bit of a concoction for my own, and these down here, that's what I'll do. So say, instance, a colour we always had problem with in the modelling community was gold grey, okay, which is, got to remember now, was it 26044, is it? I think I'm probably wrong. Okay, now gold grey. There it is, 35440, that's the one. you can just get it. But before you couldn't. So you had to make a sort of mix. So what I would do is I would have this sort of crib sheet and I'd say, right, gold grey, closest thing to it off the bat back in the day used to be XF20. Tamiya, and then by adding different percentages and bits and pieces I could knock up a version of gold grey and away we'd go. Nowadays you can just buy gold grey, so you know Vallejo do it, MRP have got it down there. I've got Guns now. Guns notoriously difficult 10 years ago to get here in the UK. You can actually get it now and all the rest of it. So really this is mainly for answering questions for you guys, because what I've done is I've picked a paint range. I've got two paint ranges on the go these days. I have Vallejo, which I tend to use for all my acrylic work. Now you can get all of the colours, everything they do. Let's face it, Vallejo released 50 colours last week alone to sort of sort everything out. And as I said, I did speak to Alexander from Vallejo at the show, which is something I'll probably cover on one of the news things. Somebody remind me, and everything else. And I did speak to him about some of the colour crossovers, because let's face it, you've got bottles and it's the same number, but it's a different colour. And he explained to me what's going on with the company, what they're trying to do with it, and everything else like that. But as I say, that's for a different show. But yeah, so you've got Vallejo, you can do it all down there. I've got MRP for lacquers and stuff like that, and I've got Guns as a slight backup as well. But I must admit, I'm preferring MRP to Guns these days. I still keep Tamiya, okay, because Tamiya is my go-to primary colours. So if I need greys, greens, all those normal shades like that, or anything sort of World War II-ish, I'm in there. It's got it there and it's good to go. All right. So really, this is slightly redundant, okay, and it's a little bit out of date as well. So what I need to do is really come up with a better answer. Now, one of those is iModeler, which I haven't got my phone on me. Sorry, it's over there. iModeler is an app. Not sure if you can do it online, but that's great because it's got all the conversions in there. You just type what colour you want, it comes up with the manufacturers, where they are, and all the rest of it. But, and this is where it all comes in, no two manufacturers seem to make their paint the same shade. There's always slight differences into it and all the rest of it, which I don't think is a mass problem because not all colours are the same. You put two aircraft together, unless they're brand new, they're going to be different colours as well. Weathering and everything else like that takes its toll and everything sort of changes. Look at that, that's quite weird actually. Someone's card, that's actually Vallejo's card. But yeah, the thing is that yes, this needs updating. I think what it is a plan for me to do sometime in the future is a little bit more of a colour conversion chart, just the primary stuff, just the US, the RF colours and everything else. I think it just needs to be a little bit more clearer because there's so many different companies out there making the same paints now and all the rest of it. And MIG, I'll call you out, you really need to get conversions and everything up there just by going in with Tacom and saying this is our paint. I know you want people to buy your paint, but it's that thing, if you've got a load of paints you want to try and make a conversion for it. So they're a little bit guilty. They don't tend to do crossovers and conversions into their stuff and all things like that. But a lot of it is the time. Let's face it, it takes a long time to go through, check the colours, make sure they're right, how they convert, because you can get conversion charts and I've used them in the past and they're not right at all. They're completely off. But this is the one. The thing is, funny enough, I know I've looked for the file because I saw this question earlier. I have the file with it all there. What I will do is I will put it up in the forum. I'll get it copied over. The thing is, it's in PDF and stuff like that, so I need to transfer it. But I'll get it over and I'll put it into the forum and I'll put it on the main site as well. There's a couple of pages of this still on the main site as well. But as I said, I do warn you, it is slightly out of date because nowadays, you know, like my homebrew mix for gold grey, well, you can buy it now, and it's very straightforward to go and get it. But yeah, I will sort it out. We'll get something sorted for it. Okay, Joe says, where is he? Right, okay, so Joe's got a couple of pictures there as well. He says, hey Phil, not sure the actual difference between paint and primer. I know you talk buttloads. Let's say a primer is a better bonding capability to plastic than paint. I've been mixing synthetic acrylic paint into lacquer primers, i.e. Alclad and Tamiya. And it's not only tints the prime to the colour desired, it gives you the base of the paint, flat satin and gloss. I've got an example below, XF1 grey, XF1 which would be gloss black into grey Alclad primer, 40% paint to 50% primer, flat texture, phenomenal paint grip. Right, okay, now this is the thing, this is like a little question that comes up every now and again about paints and primers. Basically, you can take any paint and use it as a primer. All primer is technically a generic, normally satin paint. That's what it is. And because it's satin, it's halfway between gloss and flat and everything else. It's normally a very fine pigment. That's why it's like greys, whites and blacks are your primary colours, but you can get them in any colour. The whole point of a primer is to preparation of the surface and your paint. Okay, so what it does, the primer, when it goes down onto your plastics, let's say we're doing it through modelling, you put it down. What this actually does is show you exactly what you're going to get. So if you've got scratches in it, fingerprints in it, and all the bits and pieces, they're going to come through your paintwork. So you need to deal with them at that stage. And that's what I usually use primer for. So perhaps you've done a filler job. You've used an acrylic putty or something, you might get that dry mark running through the middle. A couple of coats of primer will seal it, and then when you go in with the paint, you'll have a nice even paint finish over the top. Okay, so basically it's a twofold system. It's showing you and preparation of the surface of the model to show you what you've got and everything else. Secondly, it's so the paint that you're doing as your top colour will bond better to the underside, okay, i.e. no runs. And if you were using perhaps a more softer acrylic, shall we say, like a Valet or something else like that, if it's on an oily surface, it won't stick to it whatsoever. But if you've got a primer down onto it, it just sticks to the primer, gives you a nicer finish and everything else like that. Also, a primer will give you a tougher finish, because the thing is, the primer has etched itself onto the surface of the model. It's probably got a very good grip onto it, so you could put any type of paint over the top and it'll make it more durable, i.e. it'll be less resistant to scratching, just rubbing off and everything else like that. If you spray, or if you ever spray directly onto neat plastic, you'll know how easy it is just to rub it off with your finger or scratch it or anything else like that. Got a bit of primer in there, gives it a little bit more of a bite. As for what you're saying about putting colour into greys, it's good enough to a point, you know, and if you get on with it, like I always say with all modelling, if it works for you, stick with it because you've got it right. For me, I tend to use primer to see what the model is. So, you know, like not so much with this guy, but definitely when we're going to be into the stage, we've gone a few things on this. We've put a few surface details in, we've got rid of the sink marks, we've done all those things with it. What I want to do is give this a nice coat of grey primer and then look at it and make sure we're happy that everything's perfect, because if it's perfect in primer, it's going to be perfect in paint, and we've got a good surface then to lay that paint onto. So again, if you're using quite a fragile paint, if you're going to be coming in with a soft acrylic, it will give you a better bonding experience and everything else like that. You're less prone to runs, you're less prone to sort of, you know, flooding the paint as well, because it's got more grip and everything else like that. And primer by its nature is normally designed as a very forgiving paint, i.e. it just goes on, it lays flat. Primers also tend to have things like self-leveling properties built into them as well, so it gives a smoother, nicer finish than perhaps your standard paint and everything else like that. But as I say, works for you, absolutely. The only trouble is that if you're doing sometimes funny colours, you can have a little bit of trouble if you're going to be mixing, because obviously you're mixing into grey or into white. You've got to get that right hue and everything else. But if you're doing standard sort of aircraft greys and stuff like that, absolutely no problem at all. To be honest, when I've done a few things, the Chieftain, the grey is primer. Close enough for me. I added a little bit of white primer to it just to take the colour, change it slightly, and that was it, and that's all it has. So if it works, go for it. Right, Paul White, Phil, good to see you at Telford. Great show as always. Thanks for the email concerning the Brit Method. Brit Method? Have you subscribed to the Millionaire's Paradise? Pass. Sorry, Paul, I don't get that one. Shoot me another PM and remind me what you're on about there. Okay, Wes says, hi, sorry, I know it's like a dead horse, but could you tell me what extractors you would and you recommend? Also, I'm in the market for one. I'm thinking about the Pace spray booth, but I'm particular on the one you're using. Thank you and very much enjoy the site. Okay, so this is the Graphic Air, or whatever they call themselves these days, but it's the 300D. Okay, it's around about 250 quid with your discount. You get 10% with Flory Models members on that one. It's an expensive bit of kit, but it's a good piece of kit, okay? It's one of those things, it comes with a lifetime guarantee, and I've been using that for 10 years, and it runs almost every day, hours on end, and it's just flawless. And it's not too loud. You guys can hear it. All right, we play with some little sound things during editing, but yeah, it's not as loud as some air booths out there, and it does do a particularly good job. To be honest, I'm going to be getting another one. As soon as I get myself squared away and we're sorted this week, next week I will order up another one, and we're going to try and make our homemade spray booth out of it. The Pace one we spoke about, which is those nice aluminium American ones, are gorgeous. And I think they're very good. For me personally, they're no good because I can't get a camera in there with me. And it'll be very noisy and everything else in there. I need something a little bit more open, so that's why I've sketched a little thing about it, of how we're going to have this thing set up like multi-monitors, okay, coming around me and all the rest of it. So that's the thing with that one. Very good. The ones next to it, these are the aircon ones. Don't buy the 17 watt ones, they're pretty much useless. This is the 38 watt one. I think they're around about 150 quid. Again, you get 10% as well off of that, so it does come down in price a little bit. Really good units, but again, you need to hook up an airflow system and then drag it out the house and get it out, i.e. via a window, a vent, or drill through the wall and go through it that way. These are really good. I do rate these very much, especially if you buy the standard one and then you can daisy chain. You've seen it with me before where I plug some together. I did think about honestly buying another one of these and having 3 in a row and just doing it like that. But the thing is, they're a little bit more noisy and I would have to run 3 motors, 3 lots of exhausting, and it just gets a bit thingy, where I can just do another big aircon one and we are job done with it. And I'll keep these as backups and for when I'm out and about and doing things in here and everything else like that. So yeah, aircon, which are the smaller ones, great pieces of kit. Go through everything airbrush, do them. Have a word with Tim there, no problem at all. And this big one over here is the Graphic Air 300D. Again, a really nice piece of kit. And you know, it's one of those things. I think it's an investment, long term, but very much worth it in the end. You know, you spend your money once, you spend right, you're good to go. It's a bit like airbrushes and everything else like that. Okay, so that will do us for today. I will just mark that one, and what I'll do is I'll do some more questions obviously tomorrow with Steve, because obviously we're live tomorrow with Steve, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, everything else like that. Don't forget, obviously Thursday we're going to be live, Friday we're going to be live, and I will be live with you on Saturday and Sunday now as well. So it's going to be a 4-day full-on build and everything else like that. Join us. As I said, not sure exactly how we're going to do starting times and everything else like that. I'll try and get hold of the guys this afternoon, and I'll post it up in the forum for the official start times and the various bits and pieces. But as I said, like this morning, it's not a full-on thing. It's supposed to be fun, so no need for phones and time starts and finishes. We're not going to be that heavy on it. It's just supposed to be a little bit of fun at the end of the day. So that's it from me. Go off and see part 3 of this now. It's up on the site as well. You can see that one. Tomorrow I'm going to get on with a little bit more of the Airfix, get a bit more of this done in the morning, and then I'll be live with you in the afternoon. So till tomorrow everybody, happy modelling, take care.